Hi everyone, and welcome back to Retro Legends. There's a very specific moment in video game history when the curiosity of an entire generation was captured inside a silver disc. It wasn't a full game, it wasn't a movie, it wasn't a trailer. It was something new, mysterious, and incredibly powerful. A demo CD. Anyone who grew up in the 90s with a PlayStation remembers that feeling perfectly. You'd insert that disc into the player, the Sony Computer Entertainment logo would appear, and suddenly you'd find yourself in front of a portal to dozens of worlds. From the Crash Bandicoot demo to the one for Metal Gear Solid, from Tekken 2 to Ape Escape, every time it was like opening a window to the future. Demo CDs weren't just marketing tools. They were experiences in their own right. Little treasure chests of discovery, where the limits of technology blended with imagination. Today we remember them with nostalgia, but behind that simplicity was a fascinating story made of experiments, strategic choices, and a bit of technological magic. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for more journeys into the world of retro gaming. Let's get started. When the first PlayStation arrived in Europe in September 1995, the world of video games was experiencing a true revolution. 16-bit consoles like the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive were at the end of their life cycle, and a new generation of 32-bit machines was about to change everything. Three-dimensional graphics, CD-ROMs instead of cartridges, digital soundtracks, and a completely new entertainment philosophy. In this context, Sony, a company known until then for televisions and Walkmans, entered a territory dominated by giants like Nintendo and Sega. But Sony's strategy was clear and disruptive. It didn't just want to enter the world of video games, it wanted to reinvent it. While Nintendo continued to focus on colorful mascots and fairy tale settings, and Sega tried to maintain its cool arcade image, Sony proposed a totally different approach: mature, technological, and urban. The PlayStation was not presented as a toy, but as a design object, a living room product that could appeal to both teenagers and young adults. And to convey this new identity, a tool was needed that could speak directly to players, allowing them to connect with the PlayStation experience even before buying the games. This is how demo CDs were born, one of the most iconic and underrated elements of the first PlayStation. They weren't just promotional discs, they were portals to a new way of experiencing video games. Each demo disc was a small event, a taste of the future, a concentration of visual and sonic experiences that showcased the machine's potential. The first collections, like Demo 1, were bundled with the console itself, a gesture that had a huge impact at the time. Anyone who bought a PlayStation found a disc full of surprises, games to try, videos to watch, and even interactive experiences in the package. The idea, as simple as it was brilliant, was to offer a tangible taste of the most anticipated titles, allowing the public to try them out beforehand and decide what to buy based on a direct experience. It was a totally new approach. Until then, players relied on reviews in magazines or images printed on the packaging. With demo CDs, Sony transformed promotion into an integral part of the gaming experience. Each disc was a window into the future, a way to enter the world of unreleased titles like Tekken, Wipeout, Toshinden, or Destruction Derby, months before their release in stores. In an era without internet, where YouTube trailers or digital downloads didn't yet exist, demo CDs represented a direct channel between Sony and gamers. It was no longer necessary to wait for trade shows or press previews. You just had to insert the disc and discover what was coming. And this direct connection had enormous value. Each disc became a kind of manifesto of that historical moment, a snapshot of the evolution of video games. Looking today at those static menus, the primitive 3D graphics, and the techno music tracks is like opening a window to an era where everything seemed new and possible. But beyond the technical and promotional aspect, PlayStation demo CDs had a very strong emotional value. They were collector's items, awaited every month with the same trepidation as new releases. The official PlayStation magazine, which included them on the cover, became true fixed appointments for enthusiasts. Those discs were full of unexpected discoveries: a trial level of Resident Evil, a limited demo of Crash Bandicoot, or trailers for mysterious games that fueled legends and theories among fans. Creating a demo CD for PlayStation was by no means a trivial task. On the contrary, it represented a complex technical and logistical challenge, requiring accurate planning and an adaptation effort sometimes more difficult than the game's development itself. Unlike full versions, demos had to be small, stable, and self-contained, capable of functioning in isolation while still convincingly representing the final product. This meant that programmers had to dissect the game under construction, select a significant portion, often a single level or a key battle, and make it work as if it were a standalone title. Behind this operation lay an enormous amount of optimization work. Everything unnecessary had to be removed: high-resolution textures, unused levels, superfluous video sequences, or audio files. Every byte counted, because disk space was limited, and often a demo CD had to contain multiple games together. To save memory, developers resorted to reduced versions of textures, cut sound effects, and lowered the quality of musical tracks. In some cases, the team specifically created alternative, lighter, and faster builds of the graphics engine, adapted to the demo's needs. Many of these preliminary versions contained unreleased details or features never seen in the final release. Provisional textures, different animations, experimental interfaces, and even levels or bosses that would be removed later. For this reason, today demo CDs represent a goldmine for collectors and video game historians. They are true snapshots of the creative process, testimonies of how a title evolved during development. An emblematic example is the demo of Resident Evil 2, which appeared on one of the most well-known promotional discs of the time. In that version, the environments of Raccoon City were slightly different, enemies were unusually placed, and some dialogues did not match the final ones. Even the textures of the buildings and the lighting of the rooms revealed an artistic direction still in definition. Similarly, the Gran Turismo demo showed simpler but already perfectly functional menus, with the driving physics slightly more arcade and less refined compared to the masterpiece that would arrive in stores a few months later. Creating a demo also involved immense technical difficulty. The game had to be artificially blocked to prevent players from going beyond the limits of the allocated portion. Invisible triggers were often implemented that would return the player to the main menu, or invisible collision walls that prevented exploring areas not included. However, these blocks had to be calibrated with extreme precision so as not to compromise the game's stability. A single error in the code was enough to make it crash or generate obvious bugs. Furthermore, the demos had to function exactly like an official PlayStation disc, with real loading times and performance consistent with the retail version. There was no cheating allowed. Everything had to run on the same hardware, without tricks or shortcuts. For this reason, many studios dedicated weeks, sometimes months, exclusively to optimizing the demo, ensuring that every piece of code was stable, fluid, and compatible with the console's CD player. But behind these challenges, there was also a strong creative and marketing component. Developers knew that this demo would be, for many players, their first contact with the game, and therefore it had to hit the mark. Every choice, from the level shown to the background music, was designed to impress, to leave the player with the feeling of wanting more. Often, demos contained deliberately spectacular sequences designed to enhance the console's graphical capabilities and convey an idea of power and fluidity. For Sony, Demo CDs weren't just technical tools or promotional instruments. They represented a true statement of intent, a manifesto of the company's vision for the future of video games. Each disc was crafted with almost obsessive care, where nothing was left to chance. The game selection, already a strategic act in itself, was accompanied by a presentation designed as a small multimedia show. It was no longer just about providing a few game scenes. Every element, from animated logos to video transitions, from interactive menus to textual descriptions, was designed to evoke emotion and wonder. The initial screen of the demo CDs, for example, was often accompanied by three-dimensional logos and electronic music designed to give the sensation of watching a television or cinematic production. The animations weren't just aesthetic. They were a language, a way to communicate to the player that what they were about to see was innovative, sophisticated, and worthy of their attention. Even the video previews of the games, even when they lasted only a few seconds, were edited like trailers, with carefully chosen shots, simulated camera movements, and music synchronized with key moments. The goal was clear: to capture immediate attention, stimulate curiosity, and above all, create a tangible desire to own the full game. The message was direct and powerful. This is the future, and you can live it now. And in most cases, it worked perfectly. Several generations of players remember the thrill of the first time they inserted a demo CD. For many, it was the first chance to see Crash Bandicoot jump on three-dimensional platforms, to drive a car in Gran Turismo with realistic physics, or to hear the electronic melodies and atmospheres of Wipeout 2097. Some titles benefited almost directly from their presence in the demos. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, for example, gained explosive popularity months before its official release thanks to its demo included in an issue of official PlayStation magazine. Those who tried it were captivated by the sense of freedom, the fluidity of the tricks, and the perfect rhythm of the soundtracks, enough to create hype and almost viral word of mouth. Similarly, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon saw their fame grow thanks to the free demo versions distributed. These demos allowed players to familiarize themselves with the characters, to perceive the humor, style, and rhythm of the game worlds, thus building an emotional connection with the titles even before they hit the shelves. Behind these choices was a precise philosophy. Sony didn't just want to sell games or consoles, but to create memorable experiences, to leave an emotional imprint. Each disc, even for just a few minutes, was designed to evoke enthusiasm, wonder, and curiosity. It was marketing, yes, but it was also art. And it is precisely this mix of technique, design, and narrative sensitivity that still makes PlayStation demo CDs iconic objects and a source of nostalgia for those who were lucky enough to experience them firsthand. Behind the scenes, the process of selecting games for the demo CDs was a true laboratory of strategy and creativity, where marketing, technology, and intuition played equally important roles. Development houses would send their preliminary versions of games, often incomplete or unstable, hoping to be chosen. But the final decision always rested with Sony, who had to assess which title could best represent the console's power and possibilities at that moment. It wasn't a simple choice. The disc had to combine graphic quality, technological innovation, engaging gameplay, and above all, immediate appeal. Not all demos passed this scrutiny. Some were discarded at the last minute due to complicated licenses, technical issues, or difficult-to-solve bugs. Others were intentionally modified, not to correct errors, but to make the content more spectacular. For example, a game sequence could be slightly accelerated, or a character animation emphasized, while remaining consistent with the original game. The purpose was clear. The demo had to surprise, amaze, capture attention from the very first seconds. There was a kind of unwritten rule among development teams. The demo had to be short, but intense. A few minutes were enough to win over a new fan or to lose them forever. Players didn't have time for boring or overly complex titles. The demo was a plot twist, a concentrated taste of what the game could offer. This pressure led developers to focus on the most captivating elements, the most spectacular scene, the funniest trick, the most exciting plot twist. Among the most curious cases is that of the Metal Gear Solid demo distributed with official PlayStation Magazine in Europe. This version contained a unique detail, different from the Japanese one. A secret message hidden by Hideo Kojima himself, accessible only by entering a particular sequence of commands. It was a small Easter egg, almost a secret between creator and player, that turned the disc into a cult object. Those details made demo CDs not just promotional tools, but also territories of discovery and discussion among fans. Guides, forums, and magazines were filled with speculation on how to access hidden content, interpret cryptic messages, and unveil curiosities that the full games didn't show. An often overlooked yet extraordinarily fascinating aspect of demo CDs is their overall aesthetic, which went far beyond mere gameplay. Each disc was designed as a veritable technological showcase, a small laboratory of audiovisual design capable of telling the story of PlayStation even before the games hit the shelves. The menus weren't just functional, they were interactive, animated in 3D, with smooth transitions between sections and small animations accompanying each selection. It was immediately clear that Sony was treating the player as an audience to entertain, not just a consumer. The soundtracks of the demo CDs were another fundamental element. Many remember the hypnotic music of the famous Demo 1, characterized by driving electronic beats, synthetic sounds, and digital voices, specially composed to evoke the feeling of being inside a machine from the future. They weren't simple jingles or repetitive loops. They were elaborate tracks, designed to stimulate attention and transport the player into a unique atmosphere. Some tracks were so memorable that, even today, they immediately evoke childhood memories and afternoons spent in front of the console. Even the trailers included on the discs received an almost cinematic level of care. It wasn't just about showing gameplay sequences, but about building emotions through careful editing, dissolves, animated text, and orchestral or electronic soundtracks that underscored key moments. In some demos, like those for Gran Turismo or Metal Gear Solid, the introductory scenes were edited like mini-commercials with dynamic shots, simulated camera shakes, and small lighting effects to give a sense of spectacle that went far beyond mere gameplay. This aesthetic care was not accidental. Through music, interfaces, and trailers, PlayStation built a distinctive identity: cool, sophisticated, and technologically advanced. The console presented itself not just as powerful hardware, but as a total experience, an ecosystem where every detail, from the menu graphics to the disc's opening sequence, contributed to building the perception of innovation. In this sense, demo CDs were not just promotional tools, but small masterpieces of interactive design, autonomous audiovisual experiences capable of capturing the player's imagination even before the full game was available. Finally, we must not forget the sound effects and micro-interactions, the click of buttons, the rustle of transitions. The digital sounds of the menus were all designed to provide immediate feedback and reinforce the feeling of being in front of something futuristic and tangible. All of this contributed to transforming each demo CD into a small immersive experience, a concentrate of style, technology, and entertainment that defined the era of video games on PlayStation. In a rather surprising way, PlayStation demo CDs also took on an educational and formative role, far beyond their simple promotional function. In addition to offering game previews, many discs contain sections dedicated to explaining fundamental concepts related to console use to the player. These were real interactive mini-tutorials, capable of teaching not only how individual titles worked, but also how to manage the entire PlayStation experience. For example, some demos featured how-to pages or modules that explain the use of the memory card, with tips on how to save progress and organize files, or how to avoid losing saves. Other discs practically showed how to best use the DualShock controller, illustrating advanced functions such as vibration, button mapping, and analog controls, often accompanied by short gameplay sequences that allowed players to experiment in real time with what they had learned. Some CDs even included interactive configuration software, tools designed to guide the player through the console's video and audio settings, explaining how to optimize the display on the TV, balance colors, or select different sound modes. In many cases, these tutorials were accompanied by animated graphics, futuristic sound effects, and brief practical demos, making learning intuitive and engaging. It was an innovative approach. Learning to use the PlayStation almost became a game in itself, an immersive experience that integrated instruction and entertainment. In an era when the internet was still a luxury and paper guides were limited or difficult to find, these demo CDs became a true multimedia encyclopedia for novice players. They allowed players to discover, experiment, and master the console even before owning all the games. For many, they were the first opportunity to encounter concepts like three-dimensional video settings, data loading from the memory card, or multiplayer functionalities via the multi-tap. This educational aspect was not just practical, but also contributed to creating a sense of familiarity and mastery. The player felt they truly understood the console, able to explore and fully utilize it. Demo CDs, therefore, were not just game previews. They were training tools, designed to guide players through their first steps in a digital world that was still new and fascinating. In a way, they served a dual role. They excited and, at the same time, taught, making each disc insertion a small journey of discovery. Today, PlayStation 1 demo CDs are not just simple pieces of plastic and metal. They are cult objects, relics of an era where every disc represented a window into new digital worlds. Among passionate collectors, completing entire demo series has become a real goal. For example, the PlayStation Demo Disc Volumes 1 through 47, distributed by official PlayStation Magazine UK, represent a kind of Bible for lovers of trial versions, while in the United States, the interactive CD sampler pack collections have taken on a similar role, documenting the evolution of the console through months of previews and exclusive sneak peeks. The rarity of some discs adds an almost legendary charm. Promotional CDs distributed only at fairs, press events, or conventions like E3 have become extremely sought-after collector's items, with market values that can reach surprisingly high figures. These discs contain unique builds, sometimes unstable, but always incredibly fascinating, because they offer a glimpse into games still under development, experimental mechanics, or graphical scenes later modified in the final product. For a collector, finding one of these CDs means owning a fragment of video game history, a unique moment captured on disc. Then there are the so-called phantom demos, CDs whose existence is known only through photographs, stories, or magazine articles of the time. Often they were non-commercial versions, created exclusively for the specialized press or for industry events, and contained unique game builds, with features or content never published. Some examples include prototypes of Resident Evil 1.5, alternative versions of Spyro, or internal Gran Turismo demos that never reached the public. These phantom discs are today the subject of myths and legends among collectors, fueling discussions and searches across forums, social groups, and specialized auctions. Collecting demo CDs is not just a matter of material possession. It is an act of historical and cultural memory. Each disc tells a story of programmers who worked day and night, of artistic and technical choices, of marketing strategies and curiosities hidden in the minutest details. Owning a demo CD means holding a piece of a world that shaped a generation of gamers, developers, and enthusiasts. Guardare oggi uno di quei CD demo è come aprire una finestra diretta sugli anni 90, un'epoca in cui il videogioco stava trasformandosi in qualcosa di completamente nuovo. Non si tratta solo di nostalgia, è un vero e proprio viaggio sensoriale. Ogni disco racconta la sua storia attraverso grafiche che oggi appaiono semplici, ma che all'epoca sfidavano i limiti dell'hardware. Musiche elettroniche ipnotiche o orchestrali che rimandano immediatamente a pomeriggi passati davanti al televisore e persino i testi dei menu, spesso ironici o sperimentali, che comunicavano il tono giocoso e visionario di una generazione che stava scoprendo un linguaggio digitale tutto nuovo. Erano tempi in cui l'innovazione era tangibile, palpabile. Ogni disco prometteva esperienze mai viste, mondi tridimensionali, controlli analogici, effetti sonori che stupivano e affascinavano. Non era solo un prodotto da vendere, era un invito alla scoperta, un piccolo universo racchiuso in pochi megabyte, capace di trasportare il giocatore in avventure inedite, di stimolare curiosità e immaginazione. I CD demo rappresentano così un momento irripetibile della storia videoludica, dove si intrecciavano tecnologia, marketing e sogno, e dove ogni minuto di gioco era un assaggio di magia. Oggi, nell'era dei download digitali, delle beta online e delle demo scaricabili in pochi secondi, quella magia è diversa. La comodità e la velocità hanno sostituito la sorpresa e la meraviglia tangibile. Nessun file scaricato potrà mai restituire quella sensazione unica. Aprire una confezione, inserire il disco nella PlayStation, vedere comparire il logo animato e ascoltare la musica iniziale. E poi scoprire che, dietro un semplice press start, si nascondeva un intero universo da esplorare. Ogni dischetto era una promessa, un piccolo rituale, una finestra su mondi inesplorati, capace di far battere il cuore di chi si affacciava per la prima volta su quel nuovo linguaggio interattivo. In un certo senso, i CD demo erano magia in forma fisica, un ponte tra realtà e fantasia, tra tecnologia e sogno, che oggi resta indelebile nella memoria dei giocatori. Non erano solo anteprime o strumenti di marketing, erano piccoli portali verso l'ignoto, capaci di trasformare pochi minuti di gioco in un'esperienza memorabile, irripetibile e profondamente personale. The PlayStation 1 demo CDs were not just fragments of games, but fragments of emotions. Each disc encapsulated the feeling of wonder one felt in front of a new world, the thrill of discovery, and the adrenaline of anticipation. They were the heartbeat of an era when video games were not just entertainment, but an experience to be lived, felt, and explored. Inserting a demo CD meant opening a portal. A few minutes, sometimes seconds, were enough to spark curiosity, wonder, and desire. Behind that apparent simplicity lay a powerful concept: to make the player dream. Sony understood this better than anyone else. Every screen, every menu animation, every sound effect was designed to create tension, wonder, and anticipation. It wasn't just marketing, it was interactive art, a form of visual and auditory storytelling capable of communicating immediately and intensely. Demo CDs were mini masterpieces, where technology, design, and creativity converged to evoke authentic emotions. Today, looking back at those discs, one realizes how much more they were than mere promotional tools. They were witnesses to a technological and cultural revolution, tangible symbols of an era in which video games were transforming into something new and extraordinary. Every menu, every demo, every sound was a clear and powerful message. The future is here, and you can touch it. And perhaps that's why, even today, when you hear the startup sound of the first PlayStation, a shiver runs down your spine. That simple jingle is not just a power-on signal. It's an emotional call, an indelible memory. Within those silvery discs is all the wonder of being young at the moment when video games became a dream, the magic of a generation that saw the birth of a new language of fantasy, technique, and creativity. Ultimately, the PlayStation 1 demo CDs no longer exist only in physical memory. They live in the emotional memory of those who experienced them, like small treasures that continue to make hearts beat, reminding us that video games were never just a pastime, but an experience capable of moving, surprising, and making us dream. And with this, our journey into the past comes to an end. How many of these fun facts did you already know? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more journeys into the world of retro gaming. Thank you for watching Retro Legends, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay retro, stay legends.